Welcome in everyone to this YouTube exclusive. Every time that I jump on the show, I love to tell everyone, because I love this business. I tell everyone about me being a promoter, me being a former, wrestler, everything like that. And one of my passions is Battleground Championship Wrestling, which started almost 10 years ago. About, a couple years ago, I lost my mentor, the guy who ran BCW, the owner. And one of the things he gave me ownership at the end of it. And so one of the things I want to do is continue that legacy with a new dream. And one of the things that we did is we brought this young man, as you see right now, Jaxan Salam. We, I hate to call you, you're not my young boy, but we helped you flourish in this business. And so one of the things that we sat down and did when we wanted to relaunch Battleground Championship Wrestling is I wanted to give you the opportunity to understand the stress and how much work
Yeah.
it actually takes. Because I know you've seen Dave backstage with me, you've seen me backstage. You know, you're just like, why are they freaking out? And why are they going nonstop? So before we get into this show coming up, why don't you tell me some of your experiences so far with, I think you've been planning this show for about 3 or 4 months now.
Yep. Been about 3 or 4 months. We got together. I've been wanting to do another BCW show, wanting to kind of relaunch us and get us back into the wrestling spirit here in not only the Low Country, not South Carolina, but I want to take it nationwide. Want it to be seen by everybody. Um, so about 4 months ago, I of course got with you and wanted to get this all started. Um, and since then we've just been working. I've been talking to you for a lot of advice, kind of basically using you as like a spell check in a sense.
Yeah,
And like, hey,
absolutely.
how does this sound? Am I coming off too abrasive? Is this good? I'm checking prices with you. It's been such a cool experience. But you mentioned the stress, and yeah, no, I definitely feel it now a bit. And we're not even a show day.
Oh, wait till show day. I'm telling you, I spoke with former promoters, even current promoters. Fuego very well. We worked,
Mhm.
me and him worked together for so many years. And the one thing that we tell you is the next night, you're going to have the best sleep of your life. I mean, you've torn down a ring, you've put up a ring, you've been
Yep.
in matches. That adrenaline is going during all that. But at the end, it's like that is some of the best sleep. But I will tell you this, the night before, I don't know if you'll be the same way with me. I've done it from shows that I've worked on. I do not sleep the night before. I just don't. It's just something that and I mean, your previous experience of being in the ring, working side by side with me, side by side
Mhm.
with Dave, seeing how, we can sit around with a bottle of liquor and we can format the show. But I'm giving
Yeah.
you a lot of your own distance. I'm giving you your own space with this show because I want this to be your vision, what you want to do. Now, once the next show comes along, I'll be like, okay, we'll sit down with our now mentor, um,
Mhm.
a great brother, as we like to say, good brother in the business. You
Damn
know,
right.
LA Tank, it's turned into our mentor now. Me and LA Tank are very close. There wouldn't be a BCW if it wasn't for him, for Papa Stro, for the
Mhm.
amazing Velvet. And early on, you might not have known this gentleman, but you know, Adam Zane, better known as Happy Hour. I knew him as Be Furious. You had a couple when you trained in the ring, you met him and everything.
Yep.
Um, so we talked a little bit about on I had you a special guest on Who's the Champ. We talked about our rivalry in the ring. We talked about the lead
Yeah.
up to it. We talked about how I became an instant heel just because I made fun of you. I was picking on your mom, even though your mom probably could kick my behind. You
Oh,
know,
oh, oh yeah.
Oh,
She can
absolutely.
beat you back in black and blue now.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Love your mom to death. Would never trade her for the world. One of the biggest BCW fans.
Oh yeah.
If you were ever to leave this, please have her come because she's the best one to work off of, you know. I would have to have a barricade so she wouldn't come in and attack me because she's like, Adam, I know you, I'll whip you around. You know, no, we ain't doing that.
Yeah, that's the truth.
But your experience so far, you know, going through this, you know, we met from other people who worked for me and everything.
Mhm.
Um, you know, you were introduced and I remember that first day that you were introduced with me, you hit the ground running. You went to Lowe's with me to get, you know, the wood. You came, helped put the ring up, and then you started taking bumps in the ring.
Mhm.
You
Oh,
you had a little
I'll never
run
forget.
in with a legend in this business, a
Yep.
gorilla. But we're
Yep.
not going to get into him.
As me and my girlfriend like to say, learning lessons.
There's a lot of learning lessons in this.
Oh God, so many.
So far, since you're coming in to the business and actually you didn't dip your toe in, you were thrown right into the flame.
Yeah.
So tell me what you've learned these years. And it's like, if I remember correctly, you're spending 7 years with me? 8 years now?
I think it's 8 years because I met you when I was 17, and I
Okay.
think helped set up the ring and everything the first show because I wasn't 18, so I couldn't be a referee. But that's what we were gonna do with me is you wanted me to ref, but my birthday was like it was like 2 months
Mhm.
after the show, so I couldn't. Um, but dude, I've learned so much because obviously when I came in, I wanted to be a wrestler. I didn't envision myself doing a lot of or really running a show or doing any of like the backstage kind of side of it. I went through a good bit of training. I'd say, you know, I don't want to over exaggerate and say I really didn't train that long, maybe 6 months in total. I
Maybe.
think I had 6 matches, got injured twice. Um, but I mean, that's what you get when you go into a business of such ferocity that is professional wrestling. But the biggest thing that I learned for me early on was through that training was as much as I love being in the ring and getting living my dream. I mean, it's literally inked on my arm.
Hmm.
I realized that for me, like I don't think my body was ever going to catch up to my brain. My brain understood a lot of the mechanics, but my body, no matter how hard I tried, I just couldn't do it. And it a lot of I thought it was a mental block for a while, but I think it really was just like a sign from everything telling me like, hey, you might not have the body for this, but you might have the brain for this. And
Absolutely.
that's that's what I started really kind of doing more or trying to learn more about the backstage side of things. I don't want to say producing because I know some of the best producers are former wrestlers. I mean, you have Dean Malenko, Dusty Rhodes, Bobby Roode currently I think is an amazing producer.
Well, let's talk about that real quick. So you're saying some of the best producers, you know, were people that were in the ring. I I kind of agree and I kind of disagree with that because here's why. I knew you had a mind for the business from the moment that we talked. And one of my biggest things that I'm working with now is Major League Wrestling. You introduced me to Major League Wrestling. You had a
Mhm.
mind. You didn't you had a great mind for the business without being markish. Now, are there times that we mark out?
Hundred percent.
We could go back a couple weeks ago where I had like you had a great experience when
I did.
NLW came to town. And
Oh,
one of the
so
things that I love to do is I love to help people that help me. And they had a launch party, and the one dude you wanted to meet was Bishop Dyer, the former Baron Corbin. And I told you, I said,
mhm.
before you leave tonight, you are going to meet him. I will find a way, even if I make it awkward. To me, it was
Mhm.
awkward. To
Oh,
you,
it was 100%. I felt so awkward.
oh, I felt so awkward. But the moment he turned around and started talking to us, instant awkwardness was gone. It was just
Mhm.
that you didn't want to, but you had that same mentality. you know. And my girlfriend was asking, she's like, why didn't you take any pictures while you were there? Because I wanted to live in the moment. I didn't want to be like,
Yeah.
oh, can I take pictures with you? Can I take pictures with you? And I think that's one thing that me and you agreed on is like me and you were just starstruck seeing the New Japan Pro wrestlers there, and you're like, oh crap, that's Kushida,
Oh my gosh.
Jesus
I was so
Rodriguez.
nervous around Kushida. I said excuse me going around him, and then I walked back to our table. I was like, that's Kushida.
Right. And I went out and I think the only people that I talked to are the ones that I talked to before. Like, I talked to Court, I talked to Tom Lawler, and then when I was telling Lawler goodbye, like he was just like, oh, you're leaving already, dude? I was like, dude, I got Austin Aries in the morning. So like I had to go home and plus I was a little three sheets in the wind by the time and it didn't hit me till I
Yeah.
got in the car. Jessica's
Oh
like,
yeah,
you were
a good
down in
bit of
them.
Don Gatto tequila. I definitely made the night a little more fun.
Oh, it was. I will say what it is. They're not paying me for anything. As you can see, the bottle over my shoulder. Don, like that's the original one that was sent to me from Don Gala Tequila. But I've already gone through two other bottles. I've already found some. Went through two of
And I've never been a liquor drinker. I've recently
them.
found out I like vodka, and that's really it. But like when we were there, and once again, this is me just like trying to sponsor or anything like that. It was really good tequila,
It
and
was
I'm
smooth.
not one so smooth, like no burn like that. It was pretty good. I'm a big fan. I definitely need a bottle.
So we talk about the mind. You
Mhm.
know, you've done e-feds and stuff along the lines. So I think it
Shout
was a
out
good
Man Bun Pro
transition because
Wrestling.
even to this day, at being in my 40s, I'm in the living room and I'm playing my WWE 2K and
Yep.
I'm booking the match in my head and I'm just sitting there and of course I want you to be honest. Your character in the game has won the most matches, held the most titles.
I'm gonna be completely honest. No, I I I would give myself the most title opportunities. Yes, no doubt. But I'd always end up losing because I always never want to be basic and just do like a one-on-one. So I'm always doing like the most ridiculous like six-man elimination, no rules. The only weapons you can use are Slim Jims and glass tubes. Like just the most fun things I can do. But you mentioned e-feds, and that's something that I actually wanted to touch on. That's something that really got my brain into more of like the backstage side of things. Trying to just like work with these people from around the world and build their made up character up and find their opportunities to be able to help build their character. That's something that I love doing. I used to run a EFED called Man Bun Pro Wrestling because, well, I know don't have the hair now, but
I
used to
remember the
have
man
very
bun.
long hair. And my favorite thing to do there, I would always write off my own character because I didn't want to see myself wrestle. I wanted to see my ideas in other people go out and succeed. We had a character who went undefeated for 9 months, and then when he finally lost, he was injured. I realized we needed to bring him back. I brought him back at our Royal Rumble at the number 2 spot. And when I say I used to do this on Twitch, when I say the chats went like that, it was it was so just cathartic to see my idea for something pan out the way that I wanted it to. But it was so hard trying to organize it with all these people who were on different time zones. I mean, I had people in Australia, I had people in Germany, I had a guy in Bosnia. Like, there's so many different things to work around. But having all of that difficulty, I feel like gives me a little bit of edge now when it comes to a way more structured like company or like the
Mhm.
how actually professional wrestling is.
Well, I never really did the e-feds because I didn't like sharing. I'm an only child. I didn't like sharing. Um, but it's a great transition into the workflow of see even Doc, he agrees.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't know what's with him. He wants to be on YouTube, I guess. I don't know.
Eh, wants to be a
But
star.
so let's talk about some of your memories with BCW. Um,
Where to start?
yeah, let's go. What are some of your favorite memories being in BCW? I know one that pops in my head, and that's you
I
being flung through the ropes by Big Game James. I'm on
it's
the
my
other
one.
side, and I'm like, oh my God, he just killed this kid. And then you just pop up, like the pop goes the wheels, you just popped up like a jack in the box,
Oh,
and I'm just like, oh, he's fine, I
oh,
assume.
I that let me I'll break that down a little bit. That match, I was a referee on the outside, and at the end of this match, all these people started jumping our world champion Papa Stro. It was the Amazing Velvet, LA Tank, and Big Game James. Um, and I'm trying to break it up because that's what I'm supposed to do. Stop, get off this guy. Stop beating him. The match is over. What are you doing? And then I felt the biggest hand in existence grip me by the back of my neck. I didn't know this was going to happen. So I practically almost shut down. I'm like, oh, just go with wherever this hand is going. And that hand threw me towards the ropes. I did a little bit of training at this time, but never trained on how to go through the ropes. And my brain, this is where we mark out a little bit sometimes. I said to myself, I've watched enough WWE. I know how to do this. And practically, what you're supposed to do is you're supposed to grab the middle rope and basically pull yourself through. That's
Correct.
not what I did. I tope suicided through the ropes, but I was not, of course, trained on how to do that either. So thankfully, my, or not thankfully, however you want to look at it, my feet caught the middle rope. My
No.
shoes both fly off, and I am completely vertical with concrete ground. I dropped. Thankfully, I was able to have a second to where I was able to roll and land on my shoulder, but I'm face down on the outside. I heard what sounded like the crowd just witnessed a death. And so I said, wow, that must have been for me. And I'm laying there face down, completely dead. I'll never forget. I look over to my left and I see my father, ear to the ground on the other side of the ring, like checking to make sure that I am actually not dead. And I was like, all right, I got him.
At least your father checked on you. Okay, we're gonna share some BCW stories while we're here because this is focusing on BCW.
Oh, please.
So my first match, since we're talking about Big Game James, my first match, um, not even really my first match, my first introduction to BCW. We were called Brewery Championship Wrestling at the time. And so the Amazing Velvet David Kerr asked me to, at this time, I was doing promotions. I wasn't the promoter. Like I was executive vice president of event and talent coordination. That's exactly what I was.
Mhm.
And I'd go on the TVs. I would do what I do for the TV. And so he's like, okay, you get to write out your first show ever. I was such a mark. I wrote everything line by line. I'm like, and in my head, I'm having the whole show go. And I was like, from the destruction of an extreme revolution comes a brewery championship wrestling. And I had someone on sound. And when that happens, boom, Big Game James music's supposed to come out. As soon as I said it, I'm waiting and I just go, no music. And I'm like, if anyone's got, I said, there's just been this guy on Facebook saying that he's the uncrowned champion, yada, yada, yada. Big Game James comes out. And I was like, okay, first thing I want you to do is once you get tired of me, just grab me by the throat, pull me into the corner. I'm like, cool. Mind you, not one day of training, not one. He goozled me, put me right in the corner, looked at me, and he goes, you need to stop smiling. You look like you're about to explode. I'm
Uh-huh.
like, oh, yeah, okay. So we get through that. I get my training. It is the Amazing Velvet's Power Slam for Cancer show where we were doing a benefit show for him to help pay for his medical bills.
Mhm.
Um, the guy who was supposed to face the Syrian Sheik was supposed to show up and he was running late. And so his match comes up and they go, "Oh, well, Adam, he's trained. We'll just put him in the ring with Big Game James." He's like, I got you, kid. I got you. I was like, okay, cool. So he goes to body slam me and he goes, I go, I've never been body slammed before. He goes, oh, you'll get it. And just world's strongest slammed me. So you remember how you complained about the way that I world's strongest slammed you?
Oh, when you dropped me
Yep.
directly on my ribs? Yeah.
That's exactly what he did to me.
Oh, so you had to pass it on to me. Got it.
Got it. So we get through all that. So he goes, we're going to take a leg drop on the on the side of the ring. I go, okay. So you're trained to take a leg drop. You lean up, right? So
Uh-huh.
you could take it with them. Well, you're on the side of the ring. Here's the ring. Here's your body. Sat up. He said the leg drop. My back went over the side. The loudest pop ever. And I'm not talking about the crowd yelling. I'm talking about my
Oh,
back.
oh.
So he realized I was hurt. I considered Big Game James, David Kerr, the Amazing Velvet, and Latour Dabney, LA Tank. One of my dearest, closest brothers in this business.
Uh-huh.
What do you, and I actually kind of did this to you in our match. When you were selling your leg,
Hmm.
I went to you and I pulled right back. I go, hold on, let me check on, let me make sure you're okay. You okay? You okay? You okay? You okay? Are you all right, man? Yeah, yeah, man, I'm selling. Yeah, yeah. Okay, good. Well, that's another thing. I did that in LA Tank goes, are you good? You good? Yeah. Wham! He hits me right in the chest with that forearm. And I went, oh, you better. That's all I did. Gets me in the ring. The Amazing Velvet starts choking me. Horrible men. Horrible. But, that's what, but LA Tank took care of me. But you don't know how it feels when a grown man just picks you up and just walks you around the ring. That kind of does something to your ego.
Oh,
If you
oh,
help
yeah.
him, if you post it, that's fine. But he just deadlifts you, that's a whole new case of like Dave was a
Oh, right
small
now.
guy. Him being carried out wasn't that bad. But Big Game James picking me up and carrying me out, I'm like, this is so insulting. I said, beat me up, break every bone in
Beat
my
me up.
body. Don't carry me off. But then later on that night, I get knocked out by a 60-year-old woman. So, I mean, that night was not my
Not your
night.
night.
So I my experience in my first match, my father was in the ring with me. And your introduction, your first match, I had the pleasure of being your opponent. So since we're
Hmm.
talking about BCW members, I think on both ends, if we go back and we look at it, because we're both very critical of what we do, it's an okay match, but we're very critical. We should have done this. I should have done this. I didn't read
Uh-huh.
this right. I didn't read this. We could have done it.
Oh, yeah.
Um, what were you feeling leading up to that, and then afterwards? What were your feelings towards that match?
So, leading up to it, the main thing is I just, because I know, I'm fully aware, I was probably the worst wrestler on that card. Had the least experience, had the least amount of training. So I knew my wrestling ability probably wasn't going to be the best. But what I did know is that I'm a theater kid at heart and I can entertain.
We
That
know
was
we
the
saw the
one
Peter
thing.
Pan tights.
Those actually were sexy green leggings from the Halloween store, I'll have you know, that I forgot to cut the tag off of, which was very well and apparently
Well,
pointed
hell,
out.
I wore gym shorts under my jeans, and that's what they kept yelling, "Pull your pants up!" And I'm like, because apparently I
Uh,
lost all this weight and I lost my ass too. So I guess it goes
yeah,
with that.
no junk in the trunk no more.
None, none.
Um, and then, like The biggest thing, or one of the coolest things that I felt after it was I was just like, I did it. I did it. I went and did the thing that I said I wanted to do since I was 8 because Jeff Hardy is a cool dude and I wanted to be like that. Um, I remember, of course, I lost right in front of my family. I got to collapse right in front of my family. If you want to talk about a shot to the manhood, there's one. But I remember limping to the back and just being like, I did it. I did it. I think I did all right. That the boos felt like they were boos for the right reason. And who else is there except LA Tank? He's sitting there or standing kind of right behind the entrance where nobody can see him. And he's just giving me a
Yeah.
clap. And he's just goes, keep on selling, kid. Keep on selling. I sell all the way back to the locker room. But having that, I felt awesome. I was like, you know what? If he said I did all right, then I did all right.
So little things that you know about that. Maybe I told you this, maybe I can't remember. So Dave wanted us to go longer. He did not want the match to end because he saw that we in the beginning we really didn't have them, but by the time that we got halfway through it,
Mm-hmm.
and to believe it or not, what got everyone was the low blow shot with the kendo stick. He
Oh
said
my
once he
god.
saw that, he's like, oh, this could go further, 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 and further. It was happy hour that apparently sent someone out to say, hey, we need to wrap it up. It's like, oh, okay, cool.
Mm-hmm.
So we wrapped it up, and you know, you talk about fans every time that we have a BCW show. That's one of the matches that's always talked about because the one thing is that was the taser planned. I go, yes.
Yep. Real
Whose
taser.
idea? I go, it was that fool's idea because it's how did everyone goes, how did they come up with it? I said he came to me and goes, how would you like to tase me? I go, are you gonna tase me? No, I do it all day. As long as you don't want to tase me, I'm good.
Yeah.
But a bond was made that night. It's something different when you share something like that in someone's ring. And to believe it
Uh-huh.
or not, leading up to that event, we had the hottest storyline. Besides it being, you know, Dave's, I don't even remember it wasn't last call. It was one of the other events.
It was
And
Revenge of the Geek.
no, Revenge of the Geek was in Somerville. This was at Frothy. It was
Oh,
it,
that's right. That's right. That's right. That's right.
it, it was something. I think you being tossed on your head was Revenge of the Geek.
That's right. Yep.
But we had a great lead up to it, the attack in the parking lot. You
Oh,
know,
so happy we were able to do that.
I was too.
That's
The
another thing
funny,
I had to convince you to do, by the way. That little backstory. I had to convince him to tase me, and my convincing was sending him a picture saying, "Well, I already bought the taser." Um,
yeah,
and in the parking lot, I remember I was like, "I want you to attack me in the parking lot," and you go, "I don't want you to land on the concrete. That's gonna hurt." I'm like, "Don't worry about it. Like, I promise you, I can
what a
take the
tuck and
concrete.
roll. That's
It's
all I'm
gonna work."
saying is what a tuck and
Uh huh.
roll. And that was not the first take. We
No,
did
it
it
wasn't.
3 different times, and finally, you're like, just hit me. I go, all right. You can see if you go back and listen to the video, because Dave's our videographer for this, you can hear him after the third time we did it, and I really slapped him in his ear. I slapped you in the
Mhm.
ear. I didn't slap you in the face. I slapped you more. I cut.
That was the weirdest feeling, by the way. I never want to ever feel that again. That was yeah.
So we go through all of that, and it's the funny thing about it is that the people at Frothy didn't know what was going to happen. All they see is they see Dave, then they go, "Oh, okay, makes sense. Okay, they're shooting that."
Yeah.
Um, but to believe it or not, from that event, that's the only one that people talk about is that match. Laz and Dave winning the tag
Tag
titles.
titles.
Um,
It's one of
it
my
was
favorite pictures I have in wrestling is from that where it's Les with his arm around my neck. I that is one of my favorite memories is that picture there.
And like so many different things from like our time with Dave and everything and Battleground Championship Wrestling. So let's move into the future here real quick. So
Mhm. Yeah.
when the unfortunate passing of David Kerr, I'm gonna be honest, I literally thought about shutting the doors
Yep.
of BCW because I mean I
That's
couldn't,
what I thought we were gonna do.
I did we did the Velvet show, uh, and you refed a couple matches for us. You were there. A little backside of that, it was such a crazy day. I wasn't out there for the 10-bell salute.
Yep.
I I was like, I had to be out there for the main event. I have to be. I had to present the title. And a lot of people saw that as it being an ego, saying like, well, Adam just wants to be a part of the main event. No, if anyone was going to hand the belt, and Dave would have felt the same way, if anyone was going to hand the Palmetto Championship to LA Tank after he won, it had to be me. Because the original plan was diverse effect. LA Tank and Big Game James were supposed to wrestle in the main event. There
Mhm.
wasn't gonna be for no title. And then the the ending was supposed to be me turning on because I was coming out with Big Game James. I turned on him for the previous years and everything. And then some unfortunate things happened. And in my mind, so far of BCW, we had two of the greatest co-main events ever. Big Mike versus Big Game James, and then Kiki Roberts versus LA Tank. LA Tank even
Oh,
told me in the middle of that match he'd stopped and he saw Dave.
oh my gosh. Yeah,
The
that
action was hot and the temperature was hotter. Holy crap, that was one hot day.
oh, it's
And
so hot on the black asphalt too.
mhm.
Oh,
But it just shows you how much people care for him because that place was packed.
packed.
It
It
was
was packed.
absolutely packed. So when we decided to do this again, you came to me and you said you wanted to introduce a new vision. We see the new logo behind you right now. Um, it symbolizes exactly what we always wanted. The original logo was a Trojan helmet that I designed, and we wanted to bring the whole point of Battleground Championship Wrestling was to bring the alternative to Charleston.
Yep.
South Carolina has a lot of great wrestling companies, and there's a lot of, as Jim Cornette would say, mud shows. Me and you have worked at one of them.
Sure have.
We're not going to get into them. I have no hard feelings with them. They're still some of my best friends ever, and I probably still would do it. Um,
I just wish they were closer again.
I do, I do. Um, but before we get into the new vision, let's talk about some of the old wrestlers that have come through, and we're paying homage this time to some of the wrestlers. Some of the names you probably haven't heard of, but some of them that you actually do. We talked a little bit about Big Game James. He was the first BCW heavyweight champion back when we were Brewery Championship Wrestling. And a lot of people ask why we changed the name. To believe it or not, it's a marketing thing. A
Yeah.
lot of companies did not want to be sponsors to a brewery kind of thing. And it limited us to only working brewery shows.
Yep.
We did work one bar. I can talk about this bar now because they're no longer in existence. The
Yep.
Alibi. The Alibi Bistro, which made no sense at all. But they're out of business now. I've worked with a lot of crooked promoters in my life, but a crooked bar owner, that was my first chance of seeing that. And never again. I'll never work with this woman again. Luckily she's down in Florida and if she sees this, but I have no love lost for her. But some of the wrestlers, let's talk about the BCW champions that we've had. We talked about Big Game James. Um, and the last one, we'll talk about the last one here shortly. But let's talk about Papa Stroh real quick. Um, he was the last BCW heavyweight champion. You know, Rob Kellum, he was the maestro in
Yep.
WCW. You know, Robbie Eagle and Smoky Mountain Wrestling. So many different names. The great nephew of Gorgeous George. Heck, he was Gorgeous George the third. Um, never would have pictured that. I was like, wait a minute, you were a pretty gimmick at one time? He said, I was
That
pretty at one time.
was pretty at one
You
time.
know, a
That's
great,
so
if
funny.
we go back and look, a great match between Papa Stroh and Adam Pearce for the NWA World Heavyweight Champion. If you haven't had a chance to see that, folks, go back and watch that. You can't say nothing bad about Papa Stroh. What is your
Yeah.
experience with Papa Stroh and everything?
He was one of the first bigger names that I ever met in the pro wrestling industry. He was, meeting for me, like, because I'm 26 or 25.
Mhm.
I wasn't around for what many called like the golden age of wrestling, the WCW and Monday and WWF war for the Attitude Era. I really didn't even get much of Ruthless Aggression because I wasn't allowed to watch it. So being able to meet somebody that worked with all these people and being able to find out stuff about like how they were, like certain like moments that he was there for, like I, as somebody who just loves like the history of like all kinds of sports, it was just so cool to sit down and talk with him. And he was so kind. He never treated me like I was. I mean, I probably came off a little markish, but he never treated me like one. He never treated me like a kid, which is also something that a lot of the guys that's come through BCW have never done, which is just awesome. I've always really appreciated that because obviously I was always the youngest one there, but nobody treated me like I was a kid. They treated me like somebody who wanted to learn, and that was awesome. And he was one of the biggest people with that.
Absolutely. You know, he was the same way when I met him. He was just larger than life figure, but then when you met him, you're just like, holy crap, you know, he's a down to earth dude and everything.
So
Um,
kind.
very, very kind. The same way when I met Susan Green, you know,
Oh,
the story of her knocking me out is legitimate. I still have the kendo stick. It's in my office, and it's one of my great stories to tell of her knocking me out. And you know, I winced her on a kendo stick, and she took advantage and literally knocked me out. Another great champion that came through BCW, like to believe it or not, in the business so far leading up to Battleground Championship Wrestling, we've only had four heavyweight champions. First one was Big Game James. Then he dropped the belt to the Amazing Velvet. Velvet gave him back the belt. LA Tank for one night was the BCW heavyweight champion. So technically in the record books, he defended the BCW heavyweight championship. And then the last one being Papa Stroh. It's something to say about those four gentlemen. Um, we had some great tag teams come through BCW.
oh my
Dimension
gosh, yeah.
13.
D- d- don't even get me started. I will say this. I'm gonna say this on record right here, right now. Dimension 13. If you guys want to come back, I would love to have you guys again in BCW. Seriously, one of the coolest tag teams I've ever seen in person. Super cool dudes. They by the way, you want to talk about people who are really good at like teaching and understanding and being like informative? Those two guys,
Mhm.
absolute just kind people. They're them, and I'd say like Lazarus Black are the ultimate don't judge a book by its cover. You see these heavy metal, like kind of scary looking dudes, depending on who you are. I don't think they're scary looking, but they just have so much knowledge that they want to share and they want people to be better and not like hold anybody down. and that's a lot of people that we've had. Another tag team, of course, that we've had, or well, which we can even say are our current tag team champions. We've had a different couple different versions of them. Diverse Effect. They
Yeah.
have been instrumental into the tag scene of BCW.
There wouldn't be a tag team division in BCW if it wasn't for Diverse Effect. And one of their biggest feuds was with Soul Patrol. Um,
Yep.
they there's just
Mm-hmm.
something about Dion and that whole group, you
They
know,
are so entertaining. So
very
entertaining.
very much. We've also had we'll have to mention them because they are BCW regulars. Oh man, their name just
I was gonna say I don't
MOD,
even know the.
sorry. MOD. Uh that is the Syrian Sheik, Ronnie York, Dump Truck, and the former Venom. MOD,
Oh, that's right. That's right.
uh
They slipped my mind. No, no offense. But no, I Sheik was actually somebody I trained with for a while. He is a good dude.
he really is. But before we get more into MOD, I want to take a step back. Let's talk about Lazarus Black.
Oh, my boy.
That's there's nothing I assume I could say something bad about him, and he probably agreed with me. Um, and there's things that I would say to his face. I think he's nuts. Okay, for what he does, he's nuts. Okay,
Oh yeah.
I love you to death, Laz, but you're nuts, brother. You're nuts. You suck. But like you see the hair, the blood, the scars, and Liza is very opinionated on a lot of things. And that's one of the great things that me and him bonded on is we're very open-minded. We talk. Um, I've known Liza since he was a kid. We ran into him at a show that you and Dave went to, and I was like, "Oh my God, this kid has grown up," because I knew his dad. I followed his dad. Um, and so one of my favorite memories, and I miss Laz every single day, and
He's
I'm
still
trying to
with
get
us. We
I
just miss him. We miss seeing him.
just yeah, it's just yeah, he's still I just miss seeing him. Congratulations on your new baby.
Yes, you and Allie.
So happy
Oh my
for
gosh.
for y'all. I mean, I love you both. You and Allie have done so much, and I'm very appreciative of you both, your family to us both. But you see Laz, and like I said, you see the patches. Funny story. So Laz is a pagan, I guess that's what you would say he is. And he has different religious things on his jacket, like kill your local Nazi. Um,
Right.
all these different things. Well, there was a stint that I was part of the Mormon church. That's another day, another episode. But a couple of people that went to church with me there, heard about the wrestling event, and they decided they were going to come to Orangeburg. And their favorite person was Lazarus Black. They love the Black Society. So
Oh
they
yeah.
wanted to take a picture with him. So I don't think anything of it. Take the picture, they leave. I see him walking around with his jacket, and I start seeing, you know, F Nazis, kill your local Nazi, stuff like that. And I said, "Hey, that couple that took a picture with you, were you wearing your jacket?" "Oh, yeah, man. I'm always in the jacket." And I'm like, "Oh, no." He goes, "What?" I said, "You know how I told you I kind of like joined the Mormon church and everything?" He's like, "Yeah, they're from my church." I swear to you, he died laughing. If he could he said I could die a happy man right now. He absolutely loved that. Absolutely loved that. And that's one of my greatest things. And we just And one of the things that I remember, and it actually deals with you, with Laz, you decided you wanted to get back into business. We're not going to talk about the blonde hair. We're not going to talk about that. You decided you showed up and you rode with me and Jess and everything, and we get there, and Laz wants to show you how to take a top rope bump. And I just remember sitting there just watching him teach you. And what a great teacher he was. And then y'all ended up having the match together because let's be honest, there's only a few people in this business that you absolutely trust, especially when you're brand new. Um, you know, I always trusted Laz, always trusted Ronnie York, I trusted Dave. Heck, I trusted Big Game James. I trust Dave. But Laz is something different. I still follow him to this day. And I'm going to clip this and I'm going to send this to him just to show him how much that Laz is loved. And,
Oh
we're
gosh, yeah.
definitely going to bring him back into BCW. But talking about Laz, we actually can transition to his former tag team partner,
Mhm.
Ryan Mantis.
Oh, another stud.
So what's funny is Ryan Mantis is in a great shape. When I first saw him live, I always saw him on Facebook and everything. The first time I saw him was this showcase that the Southern House of Wrestling that Fuego and his former deceased partner Barb put on, and I saw some great talent in there, and then I saw some talent that stunk up the place. Um, but Ryan Mantis was on there, and he was such a big dude, and the way that he moved reminded me so much of Kevin Owens.
Dude,
He
it's
moved.
crazy.
He and even during it, there was a tag team that was in there, and I don't remember their name, but they kept they all had to do a promo for us,
True.
and they made fun of Ryan's wife. I don't know if it was his fiance at the time or his wife. I don't remember, but they made fun of it, and we're just like, holy crap, they're doing an angle for us. We can't wait to see what's going to happen.
Mhm.
And unfortunately, Brian didn't interfere in the match or anything like that. And that was the only thing me and Dave was like, man, y'all worked that promo earlier. You could have worked him into the match. But Ryan used to, before we went on the air, I showed you my shirt that says free hugs.
Mhm.
This is how I knew Ryan was as good as I knew that he was. He used to wear the free hug shirts, and we were working in Orangeburg at AWS. And Black Society was being introduced for the first time, that they were coming together. And who's their first promo? It was with me. So I'm standing in the ring. Of course, I have rapport with Laz. Never really had much with Ryan. And if you saw Ryan, if you ever look at him, I think no, he still has the long hair, but think about the long hair just dripping over his face. And he's just standing there, just looking evil as anything. I was like, oh my God, you're Ryan Mantis. I would love a free hug. And I would go to hug him, and all he did is he put his hand right in my chest and he shook his head. And from that on, I'm like, and he just went off. We didn't work anything. And those are the best things. Like I hate when people come up and say, what do you want to talk about? What do you want to talk about? And he was so good at that. And then when we got to the back, we talked and he was just like, dude, that I didn't think about doing the free hug thing and breaking away from that character. And I was like, I didn't think anything of it. I thought he was going to give it to me. Heck, if he was smart, he would have hugged me and, you know, belly bellied me or something.
Uh-huh.
But he stopped me and he did this thing. So like, what's your experience with Brian Mantis?
Ryan, I've only worked a couple of shows. I only worked, I think, like two shows with him,
Hmm.
but I can speak more about like his character as a person more than his like ability, other
Okay.
than what I've seen in highlight videos. I mean, the dude's a stud. He moves. There's, I always say, like in wrestling, you can kind of compare people based on like how they move.
Right.
Like you can compare like how you said Ryan is a lot like Kevin Owens.
Hmm.
Um So, I mean, he excels in his role. I mean, now he's a part of a new tag team, the War Dogs, with Gabriel Logan. They have been killing it on the scene. But Ryan, as a person, he is, whenever everything happened with Dave, he was one of the first people to reach out. He is always there. He's a very present person, which is something that you kind of just have to have,
Hmm.
and he has that. He's very present. He can very understand everything that's going on. He's he wants the best for everybody. Like, obviously everybody wants their own personal success and to be the best wrestler they can be in this industry, but he's not one to put another his moment over somebody else's, which is an intangible that is just such an amazing quality that somebody that can have.
Absolutely. And, since we're talking about Ryan, let's go ahead and just, you know, me and you could talk forever, but let's talk about what we actually came to talk about today. May 16th, Battleground Championship Wrestling returns to our second home. BCW's
Yes.
home will always be Frothy Beard Brewing Company, but outside of Frothy, the Coastal Center will be that's where you were introduced.
Yep.
That's where I had really my first shows of promoting, and we've done so many different shows there. The people there are great. So, and I said in the beginning that I wanted to give you your space to write, promote every single thing.
Yep.
May 16th. What are we looking forward to?
May 16th, when I have said this to about every single talent that I've reached out to. I hate the term new era, but it's never been more apropos than what's going to happen on May 16th. May 16th is not just my vision of what BCW is. It's a collective effort. Granted, I'm spearheading it, but when I say this is what BCW has always wanted to be and what we've always wanted to work to, we just never knew how to get there. Finally, all the pieces have fallen into place and it all lines up on May 16th. It's going to be 5 matches on the show. I will say that right now. We already have 2 announced right now currently. We have Dazzling Dynamite Jackson going up against Elliot Shock. And if you don't know those names, get ready to learn them because they are going to be taking over the scene, as well as the local boy. I like to call him the local kid, Luke Fury.
I know Luke.
Very, very, very popular here in the South Carolina independent scene. And he's going to be going up one-on-one with against the Living Lotus, Chris Young. And Chris, if you're not familiar with Chris Young, he has just such a killer look. He has a killer look. He's dynamite in the ring, no Jackson. He is fantastic on the mic. He's somebody that truly understands what he wants to do, and that is something huge that I look for in wanting to bring those kinds of people into BCW. And you know, I feel like if there's any time as good to announce another match,
Huh?
I feel like we should announce one right here, right now.
Okay. What you got?
Well, we were talking about him earlier, and we mentioned him and his tag team partner. So on May 16th, it will be the War Dogs, Ryan Mantis and Gabriel Logan, making their BCW debut as the War Dogs. They're going to be going up against the BCW Tag Team Champions, Diverse Effect, LA Tank, the double champ, double barrel tank, and Big Mike Fox.
Okay, we need to make sure
And
that
not,
ring is reinforced because
oh
that's going to be
yeah.
a lot of meat in the ring.
And I feel like we should make it a little bit more special. Not
Okay.
only are they going to be fighting on this show, but the BCW tag team titles will be on the line. They will be defended May 16th.
I like that. I like that a lot. We talk about LA Tank's, singular, we talk about him winning the Palmetto State Championship. But
Mhm.
LA Tank is, a former UPWA champion.
Yep.
He everywhere he's always held gold, but he's always been part of a tag team, and he's been very strong. Being a member of the Gorilla Squad that I grew up with, and then being part of Diverse Effect. I this match I can't wait. Is that Oh man, just so many matches that you've already announced, and the talent that you announced so far is going to be absolutely so great. So, where can fans get tickets?
So tickets are available on our Facebook page. Under about every single post, I always leave a link to the tickets, but our tickets are available on Eventbrite. If you've went to the MLW show, you might be a little familiar with Eventbrite. But on there, we're just under there as Battleground Championship Wrestling. And our event is Revival because this is the Revival of BCW. Yeah, May 16th. Tickets are $15. I think it's $17.85 after tax. But we're trying to pack this place out, guys. Like how Adam mentioned, the Coastal Center is so special to me. It holds such a dear spot in my heart, and I want to be able to always come back. I mean, we always can, but I always want to pack that place out because
Absolutely.
that's what they deserve. All the support that they've given us, it's the least we can do is to provide the most fun and best show we can. And I'll tell you that May 16th, not just saying this because I've done a lot of organizing, but I truly think this is probably going to be the best BCW show we've ever put on in sense of talent, ability, effort, visuals. And not only that, this, I believe, will also be the first ever BCW show that is going to be recorded and will be out on our YouTube channel that is going to be dropping soon.
Yes, you're absolutely right. We are in the works of getting this recorded, making a full-fledged YouTube TV taping.
Mm-hmm.
Um, Working with a local college here to get that going. So that's gonna be absolutely. There's so many different things. I'm I'm gonna be honest with you. As an owner, a lot of stress has been taken off me. I ain't gonna
Yeah, I
lie on
bet.
that. But this show will be a revival for a lot of things. Um, this will be Me and David Kerr had a dream of this when we started talking, and so many different things we wanted to do. And now we're able to take his vision, mine, and yours and putting it all together, which is great.
Yes.
Showing local talent, making the fans happy, great storylines, but giving you
Mm-hmm.
that taste of old school wrestling. Um, so I'm excited about this, and I'm glad that me and you were able to sit down and talk about this. This is YouTube exclusive, so this will be awesome.
Yeah.
Um, but you can go and the time's coming up and everything. So you can go to Battleground Championship Wrestling's Facebook page to find all the information, and you post daily on this. And people, I can tell you it's daily. I get
Mm-hmm.
notifications all the time. You can look at, who's the champ. We post a lot about it. Um, so it's constantly we just want to get that place um packed so far. And do you want to say thanks to any of the sponsors that you have so far, anything like that?
Yeah, right now, definitely. We're obviously still looking for sponsors.
Of
So
course, always.
anytime if you guys want to be a part of the revival of BCW and be a part of the battle, I mean, DM us, email us. We're available 24/7. But for right now, I definitely want to give a big shout out to Laughlin Law. They've been a huge proponent and a big sponsor behind us. They are just an absolutely amazing partner to be working with. Uh, and also want to give a shout out to Fly High Bungee Somerville. They have been a bit of a recurring sponsor for us.
Oh, I like
Very
them.
good, close personal friend of mine in Mary McCune. She runs an amazing, amazing business over there. If you guys are looking to get active and you want to do it in the most fun way possible, honestly, and I know I'm sponsored, but I've been feeling like this for years. Fly High Bungee is so fun. It is so cool.
I saw that and I was like, you know what? I'm gonna lose weight one day and it's gonna fling me into the roof.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
I
You
was like, do
never
you want
know.
to do it? You want to do it? No, I don't want to fly into the roof. Or I'm so scared that I'm too heavy. And they're like, well, you don't bungee. Because that happened to me back at Frankie's where you had the little trampoline bungee thing. And
Uh-huh.
I would jump and it wouldn't go nowhere. And you're just like,
Oh
but I was
no.
also 300 and something pounds in
Now you're a
middle
skinny
school.
man.
So, nah, I was not a skinny man at all. But Jax, man, it's always great sitting and talking with you. Um, appreciate you doing this very special YouTube exclusive. You know, we did it from, I'm at Castle